So, you got yourself an audition. Awesome. Well, in today's video, I'm going to help you out by telling you exactly what not to do or say in that audition. Let's go. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Acting with Chad Rook. My name is Chad, and in today's video, I'm going to go over a huge list of things that you should never say or do in an audition, which is only going to increase your chances of getting the role. If you find that this video helps you guys out, please hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so that you know every time I bring out a new video, which is twice a week, that will help you guys out along your way of becoming a successful actor. If there's things that you think I might have missed on this list, please leave it in the comments, as I'd love to hear from it, and it's just always good to share that information with others that are viewing this video as well. Now, over my 20 plus years of acting, I have learned a lot, not only from other casting directors and actors and acting coaches and teachers and whatnot, okay, but in the audition room itself, there are a lot of things that you should never ever do in your audition because it'll only lower your chances of actually booking the role. Now, I do suggest that you grab a notebook because I am going to go over a lot of material quite quickly so that I don't, bore you and take up your entire day. So, without further ado, here we go. This is the list of things you should never say or do in an audition. Number one, if you go into an audition, you should always be prepared. Never, ever, ever say to a casting director or the director before your audition that you just got the material, or, oh, I'm sorry, my agent just gave this to me late last night, so I might not know everything, but I'll try. No, don't ever say anything like that, okay? Don't say to them anything that will show that you have come unprepared for your audition. Don't do it. Be a professional actor, learn your lines, know the role, and come in the room and kick ass in a confident way. Next, never ask the casting directors or directors, should I start? All that does is show your lack of experience in the audition room, okay, and that you don't know the process of how it works. It just shows a lack of confidence, and it's not good. You should know after the introduction and your slate that they're ready to go, okay? They don't have time to chit chat and all that kind of stuff, so you should be ready to go on your T mark, and as soon as the introductions and slate is done, the camera guy will point to you when he's ready and filming, and just start. Do you want me to start? Yeah? Okay, yeah, that's... Now? Be prepared and able to change your takes on a dime. There's a video I made, go check it out, okay? It tells you all about why it's important to be able to change on a dime what you've prepared for that audition. Directors will sometimes ask you in an audition, after you've presented your take and your version of the scene, to change it or alter it in a certain way. And you need to be able to do that. Don't do the same thing. Be able to change in regards to whatever notes they have given you. Do not tell the reader how to read, okay? There's nothing more annoying to casting directors or a reader when you're in their audition room and you're literally giving them advice on how to do their job. They are hired by casting directors because they should have already been briefed on how to do the job, and it's not your place to tell them what to do. You're not their boss, so don't go in there bossing them around or anything. If you have like a small note to the reader, like say if you need a certain space in order to show a reaction longer before they continue on to another line, sure, that's fine. But don't tell them, hey man, at this point, can you sound mad? Or, hey, by the way, you see where it says that you're angry with me? Yeah, can you yell this line, but then whisper this line because, maybe there's someone else in the other room. This is what I've portrayed the scene as, okay? How annoying is that? Don't do it. This next one is a no-brainer. Don't look into the camera, okay? Other than your slate and your introduction that, they need you to look in the camera, do not look into the camera during your audition, okay? It's the biggest amateur hour thing that you can do, okay? So just don't do it. I don't need to even go into details as to why. Don't look in the camera. Do not be late for your audition. If they can't trust that you show up to your audition on time, then they can't trust you to show up to set on time. And that costs a lot of money. Do not be late. Do everything in your power to be early, to prep, to relax in that waiting room, wait your turn, go in the audition room, and rock it out. And that leads me to another timing tip, okay? Not only should you not be late for your audition, but don't be late to going to something else after your audition, because all it's going to do is cause you to rush through your audition. If you have somewhere else to be and you're at your audition, and sometimes you have to wait quite a while sometimes for you to go in the room and do the audition, and then sometimes you go into the audition and sometimes they work it over and over and over and you're in there too long. You don't want to seem like you want to get out of that room, okay? You don't want to be like, oh crap, in your head you're thinking, I have somewhere else to be. You want to be focused, you want to be relaxed, you don't want to be stressed out thinking of where else you need to be, or hey, God, I hope they hurry up, man, I really need to get out of here. And then you're going to end up start rushing through your lines, and that's just going to show insecurity. When you go into an audition, make sure that you have a lot of time before, during, and after the audition so that you can go in confidently with no outside worries whatsoever. Sometimes in an audition, they're going to ask you, how was your day? Or tell us about yourself. And you need to keep these answers short. Short and sweet is always the best method to go by when it comes to them asking you questions in an audition and how you should answer. Keep it short, keep it sweet, keep it funny if you can. Sometimes it's good to prepare an answer if they ask you a question. Hey, tell us about yourself. Make sure it's a funny, short story that will get you on their side of them liking you. But whatever you do, do not tell them anything negative about you or your life or anything that's going on. So if they ask you, hey, tell us about yourself, you don't want to be like, oh, well, my dog just died. Yeah, don't do that. Be positive, short, and sweet. No rambling. Move on. In an audition, if it's an action scene or anything, do not make sound effects. I don't care what the scene calls for, okay? If you have like a scene where you're pointing a gun at someone and you have to shoot, do not make the sound effects of the gun. Pew! Pew, pew! Pew, 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 pew! Do not do sound effects. If you get hit in a scene or punched, do not make punch sound effects. Kick, pow, wham! Sound effects will never ever come across as anything realistic, meaning you don't come across realistic, meaning you probably won't get cast. Right? Don't do it. Sound effects are a no-no. Now, when you walk into a room, I've mentioned this in other videos before. Take a look at my audition process video that I've done, which will explain this all in further detail. But when you walk into a room, do not shake the hands of a casting director. They have a lot of actors that they need to see every single day, and they don't want to be shaking your hand, and then the next person's hand, and then the next person's hands, and the next person. You get it. Especially now, germs are a huge thing, okay? And they don't want to be touching people. Keep it professional. They're not your friend, okay? Just come in with a nice, friendly demeanor. Say hello, introduce yourself, be confident, be positive, but don't shake their hand. It's a no-no. Don't go giving them fist bumps. Don't give them an elbow bump because you think it's better than a handshake in terms of, oh, they won't get germs. It's just weird, okay? Just don't do it. Introduce yourself verbally. Keep the physicality to yourself. When you go to an audition, you're going to need two things: your headshot and your resume. These are two very, very important things. But do not put background or extra work on your resume. The last thing you want is to be in an audition and they start questioning you about your resume. Wow! You've been on X-Men, you've been on Deadpool, you've been on all these TV series and roles and movies. Wow, this is incredible. Wow. Who did you play in Planet of the Apes? Sorry? Friend 4? Friend four? Oh, not friend four. Oh, you were your background. Oh. It never goes good, okay? It's not an official credit. If it doesn't give you a credit on IMDb as an official character that's been credited, do not put it on your resume. It's a no-no, and all it's gonna do is embarrass you in the room if you get questioned about it. Which also reminds me about the headshot and resume. Do not forget your headshot and resume to any audition. Sometimes auditions won't accept headshots and resumes because they already have it online submissions or something. But either way, you still need to bring those headshots and resumes to the audition, because if they are accepting them and you don't bring them, you're just gonna look unprofessional, and that's just a big no-no, okay? That's more work for them to do, because now they're gonna have to contact your agent to get them to submit it and send it over, and then your agent's gonna be pissed off with you because you're representing their agency in an unprofessional manner. Just don't do it. And even worse, don't make excuses as to why you didn't bring your headshot or resume. It's pathetic, it's amateur, and you just look like an idiot. So don't do it. Bring your headshot and resume, because that's what professional actors do. I made a video a short while ago here, you can go check it out here, about sides and whether or not you should bring sides into a room. And I tell you all about why you should never bring sides into a room. Now, there is an exception to the rule. A lot of times in pilot season, if you get a lot of auditions in once, our brains can only take so much, so sometimes you need to bring sides into the room. If and only if that is the case as to why you need to bring in sides, the last thing you want to do, and make sure that you never do it, okay, is to show your sides in the audition. Yes, absolutely, Jill. Nothing is worse than you doing a scene and them seeing the friggin' paper that you're reading the lines off of because you didn't take the time to memorize your lines. Sides are a big no-no in the first place, but if you do have to bring them in the room, okay, do not show them on screen. Keep them low, keep them out of frame, and make sure that they're out of sight, out of mind. This, no good. This, good. Even better. Remember your line. The next tip is a pretty big one, okay? And this is more of an acting tip, okay? But when you're doing your scene, don't wait for your turn to talk. 50% of your scene is going to be you having to act while the reader is talking, or the other persons in the scene are talking to you. So if you're doing your line and you're doing all actions while you're talking, but then it's their turn to talk and you just kind of pause and just wait your turn until it's next turn, and then when it's your turn to talk, you just kick in and then all of a sudden you're action again. No, don't do that. Always be acting. Always be reacting to what they're saying while they're saying it. If they tell you to go F yourself in a line, you want to react while they're saying it immediately, like we do in real life. Act accordingly as you would in real life when it's happening. The last thing you want is your audition to look as if someone pressed pause every time you stop talking and then press play again when it's your turn to talk again. You need to act when you're talking and you need to react when they're talking. Do not wait for your turn to talk. Another big tip is the patience that you need while you're in the room, okay? Make sure that you're not rushing your scene. A lot of times when you do a take, sometimes they'll say, okay, can we pick up the pace a little bit? Okay, that doesn't mean to rush through your audition, okay? That doesn't mean you need to get out of the room or they don't want to see you. If they're working the scene with you, chances are they like you, okay, and they want to see you. If you do your take and they're like, okay, thank you so much, go out of the room, then obviously you didn't do so great and they don't want to work with you. But if they ask you to pick up the pace and let's do it again, they like what you've presented, okay? And they want to keep you in that room. You have done the work, okay? You've studied at home, you've practiced and learned the lines, you know the character. So when you finally get into that room, take your time, own that room. Do not rush out. Do not rush through your lines. It shows insecurity. It doesn't show confidence. It almost seems as though, again, like I mentioned before, that you want to get the hell out of there as fast as possible. Do not do that. Show the confidence, take the time, own the room, pace it properly and professionally, and the audition will go so much better in your favor. Next step is accents, okay? A lot of us would love to talk in accents all the time and be characters and cool, you know, oh, it sounds awesome, okay? Do not add an accent to a character when the character breakdown doesn't call for it. Okay, unless it's been discussed with your agent and the casting directors and the directors and the producers and the executive producers, which, by the way, it usually never is, do not add an accent just because you think it's a character trait. Okay, if they want an accent specific to a character, they will include it and add it in the character breakdown when you get your audition request. That's the only time you should be adding accents to your role. So, when it comes to accents, do not add an accent if it doesn't call for it and they haven't asked for it. Next is if, for example, you have, say, an action scene. Okay, say, for example, you're getting punched. Do not wreck the audition room to sell your performance, okay? Don't fall into the back wall where you end up causing a dent in the wall or something like that. Don't kick their chairs over. Don't fling them across the room. First of all, someone could end up getting hurt, which is definitely not going to go in your favor. And two, you just look like a jackass who didn't properly prepare their audition, and now you've destroyed their room. It's not going to go well for you, okay? So don't wreck the room. Don't go crazy with these action scenes. Just prepare them properly so that you can do them in your own space on that T mark. Stay on that T mark in the audition and you'll be fine. Emotional scenes, okay? So next step, say for example, you have to cry. Oh my God, the dreaded crying scene that we all fear as beginning actors. The last thing you want to do in an audition is crocodile tears. If you can't properly cry, and I mean properly get yourself to wellow up and start tearing or get your red eyes and cry, do not pretend to cry. There is nothing worse than crocodile tears in an audition. If you can't get yourself to cry when it calls for it, okay, just get yourself to the point where it looks like you're about to cry and you can emotionally feel it in your voice. Something like that, okay? But if you can't properly cry, the last thing you want to do is try squeezing out dry air out of your eyes, okay? It looks ridiculous. They know it's fake. The camera is in close, so they're going to see if whether or not you actually can cry. And all you're doing is showing them that, hey, I probably can't give you the performance that you're gonna need on set. Now, I get in an audition, it's tough sometimes with all the stuff going on you trying to memorize your lines. This is all new material for you, and to get yourself in the emotional state for you to cry, it's difficult. So if you can prepare your audition to be able to show that you're about to cry or emotionally are affected, then that is much better and that will go so much more in your favor than you trying to cry but not being able to. So do not fake cry. Crocodile tears will end your audition real quick. Now, I just mentioned the T mark, okay, and sticking in your zone. This is a big thing, okay? Do not stray too far from your T mark. When you go into a room, say for example, you have an audition that requires you to move around a lot. First of all, when you come into the room, talk to the cameraman and let them know, hey, I'm just gonna be moving around a little bit on this so that they will properly follow you as you move around. Not that all of a sudden you're moving around and be like, yeah, man, I totally get it. Yeah, what did you just say to me? Yeah. Hey, Susan, come over here. Come over here. Yeah. Hey, man, are you serious about what you just said there? Do not stray too far from your T mark, which would be the focus point in the audition. This T mark is there for a reason. It's usually the best lit area. Okay, it's the area where the camera's focused on so they can get the best scene properly for you, okay, and that you look good on camera. Usually the microphone is aimed in that direction. So the further you stray away from that T mark, the worse your audition is going to look and probably the worse it's going to sound as well. So just stick to your zone. Do not stray too far from the T mark. One thing that I have heard in the past that actors do, which I think is absolutely insane, is if they're not happy with the character they're reading for, they'll go into the audition room and ask the casting directors or directors if they can read for another role. Do not ever ask them if you can read for another part that they have not requested you for. This is one of the most unprofessional things you can do, and not only will you probably get in trouble, but your agent is probably also going to get a phone call asking them what the hell is wrong with your client. If they want you to read for a role, Okay, that is something that they will request. And if you think you're right for a specific role, then talk to your agent and have your agent ask casting directors if whether or not you can read for that role as well. That's not your place, that's not your position, that's your agent's job. And if they say yes, great, then you can. And if they say no, then hey, you don't bring it up. You read for the role that they've requested, and that's the only audition you do. Look, I get it, okay? I think I'm perfect for every character, just like every other actor out there, okay? But guess what? You're not, okay? So if they want you for a specific role and they want you in the room to read for that role, then they'll request it. If you think you're perfect for a role and they haven't requested you, there's probably a reason why, but you're more than welcome to ask your agent, to discuss it with them, to see if it's an option. If not, move on. The next step is your wardrobe. Okay, now this is a big one because people always are questioning and wondering, what should I wear in an audition? Say, for example, you're auditioning for a rock star. Okay, do not go into that room looking like a member from Kiss. Okay, it's not going to help you out. If you have to audition for a clown, do not go in looking like Pennywise. One of the biggest tips that I can give you about wardrobe is a simple line called dress to suggest. Okay, just wear the bare minimum so that they can use their imagination and picture you in the role, okay? Because sometimes, say for example, you are auditioning for a clown, okay? And you come in with this crazy get-up, okay? But then they are now visualizing and picturing you just as the character that you've presented, not what they're actually going for or wanting. So you overdoing your character's look by dressing up and looking crazy, okay, it can only hinder you as opposed to help you, because you're not allowing them to put you into the role that they're looking for. You're giving them really only one option. Look, here's what I am. This is what I look like. Just dress to suggest. So say you're a doctor. You don't need a full doctor outfit, but wear like a gray t-shirt. Basically, it just looks like from here up, it looks like you're wearing scrubs. That's all you really need to do. Dress to suggest. Do not go crazy on your wardrobe. Do not wear huge, crazy, elaborate outfits. Don't wear bright colors like red. Don't wear crazy patterns that are distracting. Don't wear logos. You don't want a big Nike symbol. You don't want anything that's going to be taking their attention away from you and your face and your presentation of your character. Anything that's distracting, get rid of it. Jewelry is another thing, okay? In relation to your wardrobe, don't wear jewelry unless the character calls for it. Jewelry is a big distraction. It takes away from our focus on you as a character in that audition. Don't do it. You don't want big dangly earrings. You don't want big, huge, crazy, gang member looking chains around your neck. First of all, half the time it looks ridiculous. 2, it looks like you're trying too hard. And 3, most of the times it doesn't even fit your character. So unless the character breakdown calls for a character with big hoop earrings and a pearl necklace, okay, if it called for that, then go ahead and do it if you have it. But it's not a make or break situation if you don't. If anything, no jewelry is gonna go way more in your favor than having jewelry, because A, they're not gonna hear it, B, it's not gonna be a distraction to them or you, and the last thing you want is if you're doing an action scene or something in your audition for an earring to fall out or them to hear the clanging of rings or anything like that. Just don't do it. Leave the jewelry at home, okay? This isn't New York Fashion Week. This is an audition. Now, while we're on the topic of looks, makeup. Makeup, mainly for you ladies out there, this is a huge one, okay? Do not go crazy on your makeup. Just the same as you would with your headshots, you want to go in the room looking like you. You don't want to go into the room looking like Mimi from Drew Carey or something like that, okay? If the character breakdown of the audition calls for a woman in red lipstick, or someone who does wear a lot of makeup, or for example, if you're a mime and you can do that, okay, great. But other than that, and most often, you will never see character breakdown saying, oh, they wear tons of makeup. They just, because they don't want to see that in an audition. So leave the crazy eyeshadow, leave the crazy lipstick, forget the, blush and all that kind of stuff. Just go in looking natural, wear a little bit of touch-up makeup so, your zits and acne and stuff are covered up, and your dark eyes, okay, fix that up. That's great because you want to be presentable, but don't go extreme because you'll just look ridiculous. The next step I'm going to talk about is film dates. When you get your audition request, a lot of times on the breakdown of the role, you will get when the film dates for that role are. Now, this is something that your agent should be making sure that you have access to on your breakdown, and if not, you need to talk to them, because when you go into the audition, they're going to ask you, are you available for these film dates? Now, if you're not available for the film dates, don't audition. You are not that important, okay? I hate to break it to you, okay? But you're not. They're not going to change their entire film schedule, which is based on location availability, lead actors availability, transport, all these kind of crazy things. They're not going to change all of that because you aren't available on the Monday that they planned this all out to film on, and you're only available on the Wednesday. They're not going to change that. So there's no need for you to even go to that audition if you're not available. You're just wasting their time, you're wasting your time, and you're basically embarrassing yourself by going into a room and just going to piss off the casting directors because, again, you're wasting their time. It just doesn't make any sense. You're not Leonardo DiCaprio, okay? They're not going to change the entire production for you. You are replaceable as an actor. Remember that, okay? Because that is very humbling and very good to know and have in your head. So if you're not available for the film dates that are labeled on the actual character breakdown and the audition breakdown, don't go into the audition. Another audition technique that you definitely don't want to do in an audition is turn your back to the camera. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Acting with Chad Rook. My name is Chad. It doesn't work, okay? It doesn't look good. It's not what you want. The sound is going to be bad because the mic's not going to pick you up. Just don't do it, okay? If you have a scene where there's people that approach you from behind, for example, okay, you need to plan your audition properly so that you're always being able to be seen on camera. So if someone's supposed to come in from behind you, you can just basically have your audition where you see them come from the side and then you see them walk in front of you so that you're always on camera wherever you're looking. Don't look behind and then come around. It doesn't make any sense because in acting, we need to see your face, not the back of your head. If you want to do an acting career where only the back of your head is seen, well, I don't know, go on Craigslist. I'm sure some porn auditions are being held. Think about it. Acting is a visual profession. They need to see your face, so don't turn it away from camera. It just doesn't make sense. Props! Props are a big discussion amongst the acting community. Some people say you should bring in props, some people say you shouldn't. I say you should never bring in props, ever. Okay, props are only going to lead to disasters in the room. Even a bottle of water can be detrimental to your audition. Say, for example, you're doing an audition where you take a drink of water. Well, if you were to bring a real prop of water into a room and then you drink it, and say, for example, you accidentally start choking on that water, guess what? Audition is done. You usually get one take at your auditions, and if you're screwing it up because you're now choking on water or anything like silly that wasn't called for, it's hindering your chances of being cast simply because you brought water into a room. Props are a no-go, especially do not bring in prop weapons ever. The last thing that the readers or casting directors want is you aiming a real gun at them in an audition, or a pellet gun, or even a wooden gun. It's just a frightening thing nowadays, and you shouldn't be doing it. Don't bring in fake knives. I don't care if they're plastic or little toy knives or anything. Don't do it. You're an actor. act. Practice at home how to make whatever prop or anything that you're using realistic so that you don't need to bring in the actual prop itself. So just prepare your audition without a prop, go into the audition without a prop, and kill the audition without a prop. One mistake that I used to make when I was a young actor, okay, is that I would go into an audition and I would have my pockets full of things like that I would just need, like my keys or change or a big ass wallet in my back, okay? And all that did was make me look ridiculous, okay? If they, for example, had to shoot an audition where it's full body because it's an action scene, and I have these 2 mounds in my pockets of whatever, it not only looks ridiculous, but if it's like change or keys, they're gonna hear that, okay? And that's just gonna be distraction in your audition that you don't want. So do not come in with a bunch of crap in your pockets or dangly things on your jacket or anything that's going to make noise or just look insane. Just don't do it. It's not needed. If you come into a room and say you have your cell phone and your keys, set it to the side when you come into the room, then start your audition clean. Now, speaking about cell phones, turn them off. Not turn them on silent, okay? Turn them off. When you go into the audition, the last thing you want is in the middle of an awesome audition, your phone starts vibrating in the corner, and it's not only going to be distracting to you in the scene, but again, another distraction to them. And if you don't turn it off and the ringer goes off, that's even worse. You're now not only looking like an unprofessional actor, okay, but you just screwed your audition over because someone decided to call during your audition and you forgot to shut off your phone. Turn your phones off. Do not come into an audition with your phone on. Another big one, do not be shy, okay? Don't be shy. Confidence is everything in an audition. I did a video about confidence and coming into an audition and being likable. Well, if you come into a room and into an audition room and you're not likable, you're shy, you're kind of quiet, and you're just not exuding, hey, I'm gonna kick the shit out of this audition, it's not gonna go in your favor. Come into the room confident, come into the room likable, okay? And just rock out the audition. Simply put, being a professional actor and being shy doesn't really go hand in hand, okay? When you're on set, you might be acting in front of hundreds and hundreds of people at any given time. And if you can't go into an audition room confidently and act in front of only a handful of people, sometimes only 1 or 2, then how can they trust that you can confidently do your character or be that role on set when there's a lot more people and a lot more things going on that's going to distract you? Do not be shy. Show confidence. Be likable. Get the role. Now, before your audition, we always have to go into the waiting room, waiting for our turn to go in. Do not be loud in an audition. The last thing you want is that during your audition, you hear some asshole in the waiting room laughing out loud and interrupting your audition and just being a huge distraction, okay? You don't want to be that jerk, okay? And all it's gonna do is get you in the bad books with the casting director. And the last thing you want is the casting director to come out of an already in progress audition into the waiting room and telling you to shut up. You don't want that, okay? It's not gonna go in your favor, and chances are very good those casting directors aren't gonna bring you in for future auditions if you're just disrespectful. Be respectful to the other actors and the casting directors in the room. Be quiet in the waiting room. Go into the audition, do your audition, and hopefully there's no asshole out in the waiting room that's, being loud themselves. Do not be a loud, obnoxious prick in the audition room. Be professional. The next tip I have is, say for example, you have a kissing scene, okay? A kissing scene is something we all dread because we don't know what to do in them, okay? Now, I'm not even gonna lie to you guys, okay? When I first started acting 20 some years ago, I would go into an audition, and if it required me to kiss, I would literally air kiss. I would literally air kiss the character in the scene. That's not how I kiss, by the way. I'm way better. way better. But don't do it in an audition, okay? You do not want to air kiss in an audition. Do not kiss the reader ever. Don't do that. That's disgusting and wrong, okay? And if the audition calls for you to kiss in a scene, just act as if you want to kiss, or give that look on your face as if you just finished the kiss, okay? More of the I'm turned on kind of look on your face, and then just continue on with the scene. Okay, do not do the actual physical kiss in the audition. It's never going to look good. It's never going to go good. And it's not going to hinder whether or not you get the role because you decided to not do the air kiss. Continue the scene on by skipping the kissing part, okay? By just looking like you're turned on with the other person in the scene. Oh, and by the way, those auditions that I used to do back in the past when I did air kiss, I never booked the role. I wonder why. Another tip that you never want to do, okay, is after your audition or before or any time during your audition, is to ask them, when will you cast this role? That is so unprofessional, okay? And it's not for you to know, and chances are they might not even know themselves. The casting directors aren't the ones who make the final decision on who gets cast. The directors, producers, executive producers, writers, all them, after you do your audition, it's submitted to them, they decide, and sometimes it can take, minutes to hours, to days, to weeks. They don't know. Don't ask it. It's ridiculous, and you're putting them on the spot to have to answer a question that shouldn't have been asked in the first place. Do not finish your audition by saying something like, "Oh, I'll see you on set. Oh, I can't wait to see you in the callback." Okay, you're putting them in an awkward position, basically by telling them that you've already got the role, and that's just a ridiculous, unprofessional thing to do. Do not say crap like that at the end of your audition. Leave the ego at home. Don't say stuff that, assumes that you've gotten the role and that you're the best actor for the part. Just don't do it. Sometimes when we get an audition, we go to the audition and we're in the waiting room. Sometimes the casting directors and auditions are behind schedule, okay? So you might end up having to wait sometimes. I've waited sometimes an hour and a half in a waiting room past the time of when I was originally scheduled for the audition. Do not, if this happens, do not go into the audition room complaining that you had to wait to audition. This will never go in your favor. Even if you're in the right, yes, okay, you shouldn't have had to wait that long. This is something that you can discuss with your agent afterwards, and maybe they can have a discussion with the casting directors in a professional and in the right manner. Do not go into a room complaining that you had to wait, or that you're tired, or, oh God, I have to be somewhere else or anything. Just go into the room professional, whether you're on time from when you were originally scheduled or you are an hour and a half behind. But that's not your fault, okay? But don't go in the room acting as if it's their fault. That's not going to go well for you. Now, throughout the years of acting, okay, a lot of times, especially with callbacks or what they call director-producer sessions, the actual director is going to be in the audition room along with the casting director. The last thing that you should do in an audition is fangirl or fanboy over the director. Say, for example, you're auditioning for a movie and it's Quentin Tarantino in the room, okay? Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Quentin Tarantino, okay? But if you go in the room and you're fangirling all over them, that's gonna be so unattractive as an actor, okay? It's not gonna be professional. You're probably gonna lose your audition before you even say 2 words. Do not go in the room being a fanboy or fangirl. Be professional, stay calm, do your audition, and hopefully you can then work with them on set. Oh my God, I'm such a big fan. Hey, hi, nice to meet you. Oh my God, I loved you. Your movies. Oh my God, yes. I'm very excited to audition for you. Oh, and by the way, it's also creepy. So don't do it. Another big thing is when you go into the room, it's not just how you're presented physically, okay? But if you go into a room wearing perfume or cologne, okay, it's annoying. I've heard casting directors galore talk about this in the past. Do not wear perfume or cologne to your audition, because it's gross. It's annoying. We usually don't realize how much we're actually spraying on. And when you're in a small audition room, the last thing they want to be doing is smelling you for the next 20 minutes, even though you've left the room. It's ridiculous. And speaking of smelling you, wear deodorant. Smelling good in an audition means them not being able to smell you at all. Wear deodorant so you don't stink like BO, and don't wear perfume or cologne so that you go in the room smelling like an old woman. And my last tip, okay, and yes, there are plenty out there, okay, but I'm gonna end it with this one. Do not go to an audition if you are sick. If you're coughing or sneezing or have a runny nose, or your eyes are swelled up because you're sick, don't go to the audition. Talk to your agent and see if whether or not they'll accept a self-tape audition from you, so that you can still not forfeit that role or the audition. You can put it on tape at home, submit it, and not get them sick and not get the people in the waiting room sick. And also, you don't want to be seen on camera in an audition with a runny nose or anything like that. At least if you're doing a self-tape at home, you can make sure that every take you do is presentable. And if your nose runs or anything in a self-tape, hey, you can just redo the takes over and over, so that you're always sending in a good and presentable audition. But if you go into the audition room and you have only one take, and you're coughing in there and you're sneezing in there in this small little room, again, they're just going to be grossed out, probably end up getting sick, and your audition's not going to look or sound good either. So just don't do it. Do not go into a room sick. Ever. Ever. That's it, guys. Thank you so much. I really hope that this list helps you. I know it was a little bit long, but I really do hope that this will help you out, because these are things that I've seen in the past. I've heard in the past from casting directors of what they don't want to see or hear in the room. And these are all things that will hinder and prevent you from getting the role in a lot of ways. So always, always, always remember that acting is about stacking the odds in your favor over your competition, okay? And by not doing all these things in the room, you're only giving yourself the upper hand and helping yourself out in chances of getting the role. So with that said, avoid the things that you should not do in an audition. Focus on the things that you should, and sooner or later, you'll end up finding yourself being cast for a role and be doing what you love, which is to act. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I hope this helps. Click that subscribe button, and we'll see you soon. Take care.